Hi everyone. Allentown, Pennsylvania is where we are. In the late spring of 1924, Allentown, Pennsylvania was made famous. It was the first place in the world to build a racetrack just for people to know that the people of Allentown, Pennsylvania mean business. Something happened in that year, and it won't ever be forgotten. Everyone knows the story. I don't really have to go through it, but I will do, just because I've been doing last week's history lesson. I forgot to do it. But anyway, the one before that, Bathurst, could have gone the other way. It could have gone, why the Australians, the Aussies need to go to the bar first, before they go and watch some racing. And it wouldn't have been that far away from the truth, really. That's true. Last week I forgot to do it, but it was based around the fact that at Donington, everyone knows the track was made on the southern tip of Sicily, in Italy, and they were only allowed to race there when the leader of the mafia was in the area, or the Don was in town. Donington. You have to bend it slightly, but it works. It works, damn it. Weren't a bad one. Anyway, everyone knows the history of this place. Like I say, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Allentown, PA. This is where we are. In 1924, there was a guy that got on the news quite a lot, and basically what he was doing was he had the latest equipment, the latest bike, and the latest mask, and the latest cape. He was the first sort of superhero, but the villain, he was the first one. What he used to do was he used to go and play chicken with cars on his bike. So off he'd ride in the morning. Think, damn, I gotta just drive for some cars and head for some cars. I don't know why he sounded like Billy Bob, but that's just the way it went. Anyway, so that's what he'd do. He'd just aim at these cars, and everyone would move out of the way. So he did this tour across the states, and that was the secret. See, no one knew where he was from, but he was from America. But anyway, so he did this tour across the states, and when he got to a bar somewhere in Texas, and some guy said to him, "Man, if you think you're hot shit playing chicken against these cars, go and try the buses in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Those guys don't move for nothing." So he said, "Watch this." So the next day, he got a flight to Allentown, Pennsylvania, got off the plane in 1924, got on his bike, and he saw a bus coming down the road, and he rode straight at it. He got squashed by the bus. Mess everywhere, kids screaming, bus driver laughing. He knew who the guy was. And the name of the bus company in Allentown, Pennsylvania, is called Lanta. That's why they made this track, because the guy rode Atlanta. They thought, we better make a racetrack so people don't forget you're going to ride Atlanta. You're going to be in some serious trouble. Anyway, that guy rode Atlanta, and he came unstuck. You know, he got caught out. That's the story. Take it or leave it, guys. Gears. Use your Donington set, or use your baseline set, whatever you want to do. I'm using my Donington set, it works pretty well. I will change a few things. I'm not going to tell you what though. Well, I might. Anyway, the gear set I've got are absolutely spot on. I did a video earlier today and I said they were absolutely spot on, and they weren't. I've changed them and now they are absolutely spot on. So, memory serves. Final drive diff 450, 223 first gear, might change that, I don't know. 161 second gear, 132 third gear, 104 fourth gear, and a .880. Oh no, I can't remember. Yeah, it's a .880 fifth gear. Anyway, set your fifth gear up. Give yourself enough room on that long straight, because if you get a tow, the last thing you want to do is hit the rev limiter as you're trying to overtake someone. So give yourself a bit of room. I'm pretty sure it's an 880. I'll let you know. I'll have a look later. I'll have a look now. It's actually an 846 rear fifth gear. So we'll say 450, 223, 161, 132, 104, 8.846. That's my gears. They are absolutely spot on. Maybe change first gear just for the start, but I don't know yet. It's pretty good as it goes. There's a few things to worry about on this track. I'll tell you the first thing to worry about is as you come out the pits. If you ever have to pit, I mean, you'll all learn this anyway through the week. If you do have to pit for any reason, if you jump the start or something like Dave did, I think it was Dave. So, mate, he did make it to the pits. I'm sure it was Dave. But in any case, if he was heading for the pits, he did make it to the pits because, you know, he was inside the pit lane when his race come to an end at Donington. I mean, you know, he entered the pits on his nose, but you know, he did enter the pits. But anyway, I didn't even know that happened on the broadcast. I was gutted when I watched that afterwards. I didn't even know he was there at that race. I got Dave into iRacing. He's mine. I said that last week, but this week I mean it. Anyway, the one thing you got to watch out on the pit lane exit is, see that green cone? That green cone there, look. What one of the iRacing teams spent hours getting the physics right for that to move about. They still couldn't stop it getting stuck in the front of your car if you hit it too hard. Anyway, that green cone is there to tell you that you're exiting the pit lane. So that's where your pit lane speed limit goes off. Don't do what a lot of people do and floor it all the way around that corner down there, because this corner's a bit sharp. So if you do get a jump penalty at the start and you end up in the pit lane, just watch out for that. You can end up on the grass. And also watch out for guys, sometimes, it depends how you've attacked for turn one there behind me, but just have a watch out if you do get a jump penalty as you're coming out the pits, because sometimes cars do cross over that yellow line, and especially if they're fighting, you know, there might be enough room for only two cars there. They don't know you're coming out the pits. You know, you probably don't know that they're too wide. through turn one. Oh, sorry. And badnesses can happen. Badnesses. Right. Look at this corner here. Pick a tree corner. That's what it's called. It's called Pick a Tree corner for 3 reasons. Well, 1 reason broken up to 3 sub-reasons. Sub-reasons. Right, okay. This is why it's called Pick a Tree corner. Because if you don't pick a tree, you ain't going to make it round it, because you can't see anything else to guide you around it at all. But anyway, look, if you look above from the car now, you can see 3 tree tops up there. I know there's actually, I think there's actually 5 trees there, but we're going to concentrate on 3. The left one, the middle one, and the right one. Worked this out in the last video, so this is good. And I've tried this now a few times, and it works every time. You might not get round here perfectly. Not many people get round this bit of the track perfectly. Anyway, what it is, the way you come out of turn 1 exit dictates which tree you pick in Pick a Tree corner. So if you overrun turn 1, which a lot of people do, and they come flying down here, down this part of the entry to Pick a Tree, you pick the tree on the right out there. See the big trunk down the right hand side of the tree? Or the big trunk down the right hand side of Pick a Tree trees. That's the one you aim at. If you aim at that, look, what happens is you get to a point there and you think, oh look, there's the corner and there's the curb. Right, if you get turn 1 exit nicely done, guess which tree you got to pick from Pick a Tree corner. So look, so if you get turn 1 nice, so out here, look, middle of the track, pick the middle tree, look, dead on the middle tree now, look, perfect, absolutely perfect, the middle tree. I used to use Pick a Tree corner. I used to call it not Pick a Tree. I used to call it just Tree corner. Or Aim at the Tree corner. That's what I used to call it. I called it aim at the tree in the last video, because I didn't really pick a tree, just aimed at the trees. And aiming at the trees, and I was trying to explain. I know I'm mucking around here, but there is a point to this. If you just use those 3 trees as a target for your entry, if you've messed up turn 1 exit, those trees are too big a target for you to aim at. So if you aim, so if you overrun turn 1 exit like I just did the first time, just to show you which tree to pick, you if you just pick the middle of the or the trees, you know, just pick the trees. Sometimes you just miss the curve on the entry to Pick a Tree corner, and it just doesn't work. It's just not exact enough. So anyway, so we've done the correct line, we've done the left line and the correct line. Now what happens if you end up running out here, look? What tree do you pick? Left tree. Aim at the left tree, look. I'm dead straight aiming at the left tree. There's the corner. It really works. You've got 3 tree trunks there, look. The left one next to the tower, the middle one with the bushes going all the way up it, and the third one with a load of trunks coming out of nowhere. 3 tree trunks to try and pick at Pick a Tree corner. And I'll try and show you how that does work. I promise you that actually works. So just a recap. Let me just start around here so you can see what I'm looking at. Just a quick recap, because turn 1 is hard. Turn 1 entry is pretty tricky, and the exit's pretty tricky as well in this car. So sometimes you might miss it, sometimes you might get it, you know, and sometimes you might, you know, you either run to the left, the middle, or the right of this exit. You know, so if you're running to the left, you pick the right tree. If you run down the middle like I am now, you pick the middle tree. If you run down the right hand side over the pit lane yellow line, exit line, you pick the left hand tree. I promise you that works, and it really lines you up for the corner. So yeah, so nick that one off me. I could have just said aim for the trees, couldn't I? You know, these videos are gold dust. They're pure gold dust. What other video tells you which tree to pick? None. Even well, I was going to take it even further and aim for the tower, but no. Anyway, so you pick the tree, and then what you want to do here. Now this is the only bit I can't help you with. The only thing you need to do is just maybe look at those skid marks on the track there and aim for those. But in any case, you want to aim for a big chunk of this curb. As much as that, you want to jump right over this curb. And you don't want to overrun that corner. You don't want to go too fast over it because you want a nice entrance. See, trouble is, there's a few horrible things about that curb. Ideally, you want to run about that much over it. But what happens is, because you don't take too much of the curb, you're slower because you haven't cut the corner enough. And you don't get 1x. You know, I'm not talking about going for 1x. Don't look at my incidents. I'm not talking about going for 1x's here, but I'm just talking about trying to go for the track limits, you know? So, I mean, you can get away with running this much amount of curb here. You can get away with running that. You won't get a 1x. In 4 wheels on the curb. So the thing is, you've got to be lucky now, right? Because you've just got to get over that last lump of curb there. Look. See where the front tyre, the front right now, is on that extra bit of curb there. Sometimes, if you're not careful with your throttle application, it just upsets the car just a little bit. I'm just talking about a little bit, you know, a little minute amount. So it's a toss-up between doing that and getting your exit right off of that curb, or running this amount of curb and sort of being safe, but you know you're going to be a little bit slower. So that's that. So, I mean, I normally go for the big chunk of curb. Don't look at my incidents. Anyway, run down here. Try not to go too... See, what happens is, this was my point of telling you about that. If you do mess up the curb, how did I nail that in reverse? If you do take about as much as that, you don't get a 1x, but then you mess up this exit and your car's jumping about a bit, you end up out here. And all it does is slows you down for this one. So there must be a sweet spot, what is pretty impossible to find because that curb is blind. And you've got to be lucky. I mean, normally I'd say head for those cones over there, that left cone, look, see that left cone, but there's no way you can see that when you're at racing speed. You're looking at the curb, you've got to look at the curb, you can't look away. I can't anyway. I must admit, I've got pretty crap eyesight. Michelle tell you about that in turn 1 in Donington. Anyway, so maybe take sort of, maybe try, you know, you need to find the sweet spot. I reckon the sweet spot's probably about there, you know, where you're going to be quick enough because you're taking enough chunk out of the corner and you've got a nice landing off the curb, you know, to run this next one down here. This corner hasn't got a name because it's just not a corner, really. You're not full throttle round here. You're sort of about half throttle round here. If you can get to full throttle, then, well, I don't know if you are or not, I can't remember now. But anyway, you run out there like that. And this corner entry, I call suspended animation. The main reason is I can't really say suspended animation when I'm driving. I keep saying it, suspended animation. What was the point of putting that Mazda sign over there? Who's going to see that? I suppose Dave might, if he's flying over the wall like he did at Donington. Sorry, Dave. I've never seen that before in my life. Anyway, not Dave jokes. Dave was mine, I got him into iRacing. Right, so that's it. That means I'm allowed to say things like that about Dave. Anyway, touch that curb on the left. In third gear here. Suspended animation corner. and then down here you're sort of half-ish throttle, and then I have to change up to 4th gear through this, which I'm not really enjoying, but I'm going to try and sort that out, maybe. Anyway, take a bit of that curb, and then what you do here is just a quick tap on the brakes here. Don't brake all the way down to the entry of the left-hander down there. Just a quick tap on the brakes to slow the car a little tiny bit. That does two things. That allows you to, well, it's the fastest way to brake, because other than that, you'll be off the throttle back behind me now. You never want to be off the throttle. If you can stay on the throttle as long as possible, that's what you want. So just a little touch of brake there. It brings the car round to the right as well, because you're turning right. You're aiming for this curve on the right-hand side. And then when you get to here, this is where you get back on the brake and hard down on the brake. Stay in 3rd gear if you're using my gear set, and just, you know, yearn, physically yearn that one day we'll run the short layout and get to run this right-hander. There's two things I love about this right-hander. One, it just looks like it never gets used. It looks like a Grand Prix Legends track, this does. You know, this is what it's all about. Huge sweeping right-hander, trying to get on the power all the way through it. Bumps and jumps and all sorts of rubbish, you know. You can tell they just haven't cared one bit about this bit of track, because it probably never gets used. Might be wrong, I don't know. But promise me, guys, one season we've got to run that late. Look at the sweep on that on the exit. Look, you're just hammering it out of there, full throttle, back sticking out. You know, guys behind you, guys in front of you. What a brilliant corner. It's probably one of my favourite corners in iRacing. Do you know what I'm going to do now? You guessed it, kids. Let's see what this bitch is like. So, Atlanta short. I voted for Atlanta short. Whenever we voted, I didn't get it. So down here, 3rd gear, up to 4th, maybe down to 3rd, yeah, and then look at that, look. Oh, on the power, I can't get on the power. I can't get it. Someone's behind me, look. Oh, we got to run, look, and then you're still sliding, look. Oh, beautiful. It's just, oh. What more do you want? We have to run that layout. We've got to run that layout. Anyway, we're not running that layout today. This week, rather. So, aim for a tree corner. Pick a tree corner, middle tree, so I'm right in the middle of the track. Look at that. It works. Nicky's top tips are Road Atlanta. He rode Atlanta. Check out the bus service in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It's called Atlanta. That was the whole point of the joke, if you never guessed. Anyway, so 3rd gear down here. Hard on the brakes, hard on the brakes, hard on the brakes. Doesn't matter if you take a big chunk of this curve, not ideal, but you want about that much of it. And as you come out of here, now this is where your car gets scary. It's one of the scariest points on the service for this car, because you just go over a load of bumps. This is as much curb as you want to take. You don't want to have 4 wheels over this curb. The more curb you take over this part of the track, the more jumpy the car is going to feel. I mean, the car really does just bounce up and down all the way. You know, you can listen to the engine go ooh, 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 as the rear wheels are spinning up. You know, as the car gets light and heavy, light and heavy, light and heavy. You'll see it when I'm running my lap. I don't actually know why, because there's not really any sort of wavy bumps, you know, or is there? Oh, there is. Yeah, I'm just watching the suspension. It does go up and down, up and down, up and down a bit there. Just watch it again. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Yeah, it does, yeah. Up and down. Anyway, down here I call this corner did. The reason I call it did is because the target area that you're aiming for to be on the entry is only 2 meters wide. But if you look at that, look at the white line and that tyre mark, and you've got a tyre mark going right down the middle of the car. So there's a white line, there's a tyre mark in the middle, and then there's another, look, I'll put the other tyre mark in the middle of the car, that one there, look. That one there. Alright, to me, where I'm sitting, that looks like it's 2 meters wide. So, if the target area was 2 meters wide, and it's impossible for a computer to hit it at that range, someone else says that it's not impossible to hit that at that range because he used to bullseye womp rats in his T16 back home. The reason why I call that corner did is because I don't want to call it I used to bullseye womp rats in my T16 back home. I call it did because that was the first word in that film. Well, you lot might be scratching your heads a bit at that, but I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. C3PO stood there, you know, there was a loud bang, and C3PO looks down at R2-D2 and says, "Did you hear that?" Did is the first word spoken in Star Wars: A New Hope. And I used to, do you know what? And I used to be able to, when I was going through a phase, you know, a Star Wars phase when I was younger, I used to be able to sing the whole soundtrack, I probably can now still, and I used to be able to just talk the whole script of the whole film, all 3 films, easily. I used to annoy everyone by doing it. You know, if ever Star Wars was ever wrong, you know, I'd be down there, "Did you hear that? They shut down the main reactor." But for the life of me, I can't think what the first line is in Empire Strikes Back now. I really can't think what it is. I know what happens at the start of the film, but I just can't think what the first word is. The ships, the little probes come out of the little probes come out the bottom of the Star Destroyer, and one of them heads to the Hoth. And what happens then? I can't even remember. I'm going to have to watch it. I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to really enjoy it because I've probably forgotten some of it. Anyway, I can't even remember Return of the Jedi either. Wow, what's the first word in Return of the Jedi? It's something to do with the shield reactor being deactivated. Deactivation of the shield will commence on your code, whatever. Anyway, my youth. Anyway, did. That was the first word in A New Hope. So your target area is only 2 meters wide. Look, so you run down the target area and skim the surface to this point. Sorry, this is just going nuts now. Can't stop. So you come down to did. Now, third gear for me did is, because I changed my third gear from last night, you have to brake and turn at the same time here. You can't wait for the car to get straightened up here before you brake. You have to brake before the car's straight, so you've got to go easy on the brakes. And when you turn into this corner, which I don't know the name of, I don't care, you just run up that curb. You got to run up that curb, and then when you come around the exit I mean, don't touch the outside curb. As you bomb down here, flat shift along here. What do I mean by flat shifting? Keep your foot to the floor. Hold for the next gear. I'm holding the paddle now, and then just dump the clutch up. Then do it again. Hold the paddle down. Yeah, holding the paddle down now. Dump the clutch. That's what flat shifting is. The only time you don't really want to flat shift is from second to third. If you can get away with flat shifting from second to third, it's good. You know, you're doing well. But some of the times you just can't because there's so much power going through the wheels, and it causes a wheel spin situation across the nation. Road Atlanta used to be a really scary track because that chicane wasn't there. Have a look, go on YouTube and have a look at the Can-Am. There's a short film of a Can-Am guy talking about his Can-Am car, and he's got an onboard of Road Atlanta in 1970. You wouldn't believe how much they flattened this track out, and it you know, still today it looks hilly, doesn't it? But this straight was just hills and sweeping bends, and it was completely different. Anyway, the chicane wasn't there. Anyway, this kink what I'm on now, to the right, as you see, I'll back up, look, the kink there, to the right, you're not going to believe this is actually a corner in this car. You don't have to lift, you can keep your foot in, but you normally slide the rear end of the car through this corner. But that's sort of a good thing because you've got a slide going on, so your car's facing that way, and you're steering like that, you know, as you're sliding at 160 miles an hour or whatever you are at. And then when you get to about, I think it's just before the 200 metre ball here. I think it's about here. Your car ends up facing there, and that's exactly where you want to be, facing. You don't want to be right near the white line on the right hand side, because I'll tell you why in a minute. But anyway, as you hit the brakes, you've got to watch out for the right front to, you know, from locking up, because the car's still turning right, so all the weight's on the left hand side tyres. So when you hit the brakes, if you hit them as hard as you normally do on a straight, you're going to lock up the right front. And it takes ages for it to come back, you know, and you really have to lift off the brakes to get the tyre back spinning round again. Anyway, this is your line you want, because what you're aiming for is that blue and white curve down there. You want to run that blue and white curve. So down to second gear, run the curve like that. If anyone in this series even dreams about entering this chicane from here on purpose, they'll wake up and apologise. There's such a good line in that film. Does anyone know what that's out of? What film that's from? Anyway, so run down this white line, the curve I mean, and then as you're turning, you're in second gear, you can take as much curb as that, and if you want to be quick through the chicane, that's what you have to do. You want as much as that, but this second curb, you don't, so you're in second gear still, just take that much curb. You can't take more than that, so second gear still, don't change up to third gear until you get to the top of the rev range. Stay off that curb on the left, and aim for the middle of that white square up there, up above the car there, look. So where it says www.suzukicycles.com, you want to head for the IC of Suzuki Cycles, the KIC. So that's the KIC bridge. And when you change up to third gear, you want to watch for a huge, and I mean huge, slide that will sort of have your car facing like that. You've got to watch out for that. Last corner's not straightforward at all. I was going to say it's pretty straightforward. It ain't straightforward at all. You want to aim for the white line. Ideally, you want to be, I mean, I'm talking perfect. I'm talking, you know, absolute ideal world, perfect situation all across the nation. You want to aim for this white line. So third gear, I think, still, as you turn in, and you want to hit that curb on the right hand side. Tell you why. I'll tell you why you want to hit that curb on the right hand side. You want to aim for that curb on the right hand side, because all through your practice, through your week, there's going to be times where you hit that curb, and when you do, you'll notice two things. One, is the car loses a bit of rear end grip because you've got your foot hard down here. So as you jump off that curb, your car loses a little bit of rear end grip. You might not notice it because it's only a minute thing, but you might just, if you look at a replay of yourself, you might just see yourself straightening the steering wheel up. The other thing you'll notice is that it's actually faster, because if you run at your limit of speed through there and hit the curb, jump off that curb like that, the car comes round to the side, so you realise that you can go faster than you normally do if you don't hit the curb. So what happens if you miss the curb? If you actually miss the curb, I wouldn't say you have to lift off, but you have to really make sure that you're going to make that exit down there. And the worst thing to do is run on the grass over this curb, because you just lose so much speed, and the grass actually pulls you in. It's like a shark, you know. You run over here, and all the car wants to do is just go into the grass. So always try and watch out for that. That all comes from the turn 1 apex. So your braking point for turn 1, I'd say start off at about there, about what, 115 metres? Is that metres? That's not metres, is it? Yards? I don't know. That's definitely not metres anyway. So 100 yards or whatever that 100 is. So start off at about, whatever the measurement is, it looks like yards, and that's not even yards, is it? That looks like feet. That's got to be feet. 200 feet, 100 feet. Hold on a minute, 10. Yeah. Yeah, about 12 blokes, laying head to toe along there. Anyway, head for about 115 of whatever that measurement is. So about there for your braking into turn 1. So let's try and get up to a bit more speed now. So third gear through here, aim for that curb like that. Just look where you're running. I'm in the middle, so I'm heading for the middle tree look. Perfect line into pick a tree. Over the curb, pick a tree. Up to third gear. You can run this curb. Then your suspended animation, where all the animals live. Maybe up to fourth gear, don't really want to do it. Touch a brake and then brake hard. Run up the curb. 2 wheels on the curb on the exit. That was 4, that's no good. It's too much. Just watch for the wheel spin back there. Third gear into did. Hit that curb. That's nice. When you hit the curb, brake before the car straightens up in the second gear. Take a chunk of that curb. Watch the curb on the exit. Flat shift all the way down here. There we go, 5th gear. Now watch for the slide. I don't know if that'll happen because I'm going slower. It should do, but don't lift. Just get used to steering into the slide. There you go, look. 2nd gear, aim for the curb. As much as that. No, that was a 1X. Oh, I'm in 3rd, I'm in the wrong gear. But never mind, I'll do that next time. Up to 4th, aim for the white line there. Aim for the curb. A little bit too much. 3rd gear into turn 1 again. Hit the curb. Pick a tree, left-hand tree. See, because I was to the right there, I was near the pit lane, so I chose the left-hand tree. I don't really want to be changing up to 4th gear for that corner, but never mind, it's going to have to happen, I think. Watch for the wheel spin. There we go. Brake for did. 3rd gear for did. Brake, achy brakey. Nervous. Watch for the slide. There was a little lock. I was actually watching the front right wheel there to see if it had locked up. Okay. Let's not do that again. Left tree. Chunk of curb. Up to third gear. Half throttle-ish. Little dab of full throttle there. Up to fourth gear for me now through here. Which I don't like. That has got. I've got to sort that out. I don't like that. Woo, 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 over the hills. Third gear into did. Brake for this little smelly corner, just one of the ones I like. Right, just again watch for the lock up on the front right as you come round here. So there's a slide. In for the curb, in for the curb, in for the curb. That was perfect. Second gear. Then third gear, so that's where you have to watch out for your slide. Aim for the curb. Yep, just look, tickle there. That's good enough. Third gear, aim for turn one curb. It doesn't matter. Left hand tree, look, I'm on the right side of the track. Oh, took too much there. But I was still sort of pretty clear, pretty close to where I wanted to be. Oh, that's pretty scary now. Alright, okay, so that's going to be a fourth gear. Yes, these are going to be fourth gear for me now with that gear set. Third gear for did. Alright, seems you can just get the car straight before you can hit the brakes there. Watch the slide. There's a slide, keep your foot down though. Run the curbs. 1x that time. Fourth gear over the curb. That's ish. Alright, ish. Turn in. Middle of the track, middle tree. Middle tree. Perfect. I love that. Let's see where we get through here now. Fourth gear. Yeah, that's a fourth gear. Grab a brake that, then hard on the brakes. Don't want four wheels over that because this is what happens afterwards. Car just jumps around everywhere too much. Third gear into did. Second gear for this one, over the curb, yep. As soon as you hit that curb you can get on the power. Just look at that turn on the right there to wish we were running that layout, but never mind, but we're not. That's good. Yep, no 1x. No 1x there. Yep, that's good. Don't flat shift on the way over that hill. There'll be too much power going through the rear wheels, you'll lose the back end badly. That was just too much speed going through the last turn there. That was nothing to do with me hitting the curb. Middle tree. Hug that curb, full throttle for a little bit. Up to fourth gear for me now, which probably means I'm going to drop fourth gear down a click to make it a little bit shorter. Oh, missed the curb. I always sacrifice the distance between fourth gear and top gear for a corner. So what I mean by that is I'd rather have a big step between fourth and fifth than have a bad fourth gear for one of the corners. So at the moment because I'm just starting to get used to the lines and everything now. See, fourth gear would be better now through here if it was lower. You know, there's going to be a bigger step between fourth and fifth, but I don't care about that. But, hold on, middle tree, yeah, middle tree left. Second, too much curb that time, but still no drive through. Here, I don't like fourth gear here, it's too low now, just under 7,000. Don't like it there, it's too slow. Got no acceleration in the middle of the S's. And you can put your foot down as hard as you can, you know, in the middle of those S's. So I'm not really liking that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a couple of laps now without me talking, so you can check out stuff on VRS and just watch the pedal inputs just before I start the lap. Just when I'm doing these laps, always just watch the pedal inputs. Don't really watch the lines and stuff that I'm taking unless you need to, because everyone sort of can work that out. But it's the pedal inputs I think is more important. Like just then I put my foot all the way down there just because I could, because there was enough grip. Now you wouldn't have seen that if you was watching the racing lines that I'm taking. So just right hand tree maybe, yeah. That's alright, because the back of the car didn't go over the curb. That's why you don't get a slowdown in that situation. The front of the car was in a slowdown area, but because the back of the car wasn't, I didn't get a slowdown, so I know the car was all over the place there, but that's, you know, sometimes you can get away with slowdowns when that happens. So yeah, so just watch the pedal inputs. I mean, you can see the whole track, you know, where the car's going, because, you know, it's filling up the whole screen. You know, your peripheral vision watches the racing lines. Just watch the pedal inputs. They're much more important. So let's go for a lap then. Left tree, right tree, I mean. Always run that too fast. Always the opposite tree. If you're too far to the right, aim for the left tree. This is where I'll run a couple of laps now then. So slide. Oh, that's a really brake hard then to make that. I overran that by miles. There we go. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. I'll tell you about that afterwards. Middle trailer. Bit of a messy lap really. Really messy. Just slide. Aim for the curb. There we go. Aim for the curb. Yep. Perfect. You see, when it lands, it just goes to the right slightly. Middle tree. Oh god, miles too much curve. Still didn't even get a slow down. God. Perfect through there that time. Too much curb. Always keep your foot down when you lose it like that, look. Middle tree. It's a bit too much. Take curb, stay off that curb on the left. Don't want to do that. Slide. One more lap then. Yeah, short shift and the fork's pretty good there. There you go. See, just perfect how the car just jumps to the right when you hit that curb. Exactly what you want. Middle tree. It's nice, one up that curb a bit. That's a good line through there. Flat shifting again. Into the target area, we did. Aim for the curb. Too much, bit of a turning. Turned in too much there. Yep, no 1X. Short shift to full. Hit the curb. Yep, perfect again. That'll do. I think that's stupid weather setup at the moment because I was in the 18.6s earlier and now I'm in 19.1s. Oh yeah, one more thing while I'm here. This is what I was going to tell you. Right, I don't know how long the microphone's been off, but I haven't been really saying much anyway, so I'll check that. There was one thing I wanted to just say. As you're coming down here, you're in 5th gear. As you're braking down to 3rd, when you go from 4th to 3rd, you want a big blip, as much as that, a half throttle blip. Because when you blip normally, you know, like that, the back wheels grab and they pull the back of the car out, and what normally happens is the car pulls to the left, the back of the car pulls to the left, and it makes you run a messy entrance into turn 1. So just do a big blip. So I'll just run one more lap, because I know the mic came off, turned off there. I'm not sure if I did say anything important, but let me just run one more lap, just to show you guys. So, short shift to full, for me, 4th gear, tap the brakes, hard on the brakes. Oh, been down a second for some reason. Aim for the braking did, there, 3rd gear into did. 2nd gear, over the curb on the left, right I mean, missed the curb on the left, just touched it, but that's alright. Watch for the slide, don't lift, just keep your foot down. Aim for the curb, yep, that's it. No 1X, perfect there, no 1X. Short shift to full, aim for the curb, perfect. See the car jump to the right there when it lands, just on the 2nd bounce, look. Big blip into 3rd gear, look. Then you get a nice entry into 1. Middle tree, down to 2nd iron there, up to 3rd gear again after it. Short shift to full, early entry into the S's. Tap the brake now, then hard on the brakes. 2 wheels on the curb, yep, perfect. Watch for the braking marker to did, there. On the power again. Hard on the power, then brake down to whatever that corner's called. Aim for the curb, yep, nice. Yeah, this is a pretty good lap now, which I'll probably mess up by the time I get down the bottom. Don't lift on the slide, just steer into it. Full throttle all the way. Then soft brake, then brake a bit harder. Aim for the curb, aim for the curb, aim for the curb. No 1X's there. There we go, nice short shift into full. Aim for the curb on the right again. Missed it a bit. It's not that bad. There we go, there's an 18.6, so I'm happy with that. So that is what happens when you ride Atlanta. They don't move out of the way. You get killed, you get in the news, they name the racetrack after you. Road Atlanta. Yeah, thanks a lot guys, I'll see you next week.